that doesn't mean you might find something that is just meant to be and really excite you. And if you're kind of stuck in your life right now, I'd encourage you to ask people that know you really well for some advice. This wasn't part of the plan. A good friend, Marilyn Shannon, who hosts another show on Nissan Communications, said, I think you should do a show. And I was like, really? What would I do it about? And then I came up with this. And again, it's been one of the best things that I've ever done for my life. So that's your homework for this week. Go with the flow and be open to what people might suggest for you. So now I'm going to tell you about tonight's guest.
Julie?
Yes.
Start over.
What's going on?
There was a problem.
Okay.
There was something from Bamboozer, and somebody just said no picture, and it's true. The picture just came up.
Okay. All right, everyone. We had a little bit of technical difficulty.
Go ahead and...
Are we good to go?
Yep.
Okay. So, can you go to clairvoyant school? Why would you want to do that? Would you want to become a psychic, or are there other reasons why you would want to go to clairvoyant school? And why would you learn energy medicine? How does all of that relate? Well, tonight's guest is going to tell us all about that. So I want to have a huge shout out. Tonight is Reawaken Your Brilliance first year anniversary. I have to thank my co-pilot and partner in crime, Amnon Nissan, who's holding down the fort in Raleigh. Tonight I'm Skyping in from Long Beach, California, where I'm enjoying no humidity and great weather. So I was thinking, being a TV host wasn't part of the plan. You know, I'm German. I grew up pretty uptight. It's just part of my DNA. But I've learned as I've gotten older to go with the flow. So I'm going to encourage you to just kind of expect happy accidents. And maybe if it's not part of your life plan, to be open to surprises. And I know if you're feeling stuck, you might want to ask people, hey, what can you suggest to me? Because again, you might have some pleasant surprise, someone that knows you really well, but can offer you some good advice and might take you down a path that you weren't expecting and that turns out to be really wonderful. So now I'm going to tell you about tonight's guest. Judy Nelson is a clairvoyant and energy healer. Her metaphysical studies began in 1984 at the Berkeley Psychic Institute and in mentoring programs in tarot, intuitive healing, dream work, Bach flower essence, and palmistry. She became an ordained minister in 1994 and is an instructor of clairvoyant and energetic medicine programs at Clearsight in Los Angeles. Judy currently has a thriving private practice. Her joy is to help people find their true selves and therefore their true path in life. In addition to her ministerial counseling, Judy is a speech-language pathologist in Encino. She holds a BA in music, board certifications as a music therapist, and master's in speech-language pathology. She has done extensive therapeutic work in psychiatric units, special education centers, hospitals, and schools. Music remains a great love in Judy's life, and she still performs with her band at nightclubs and private functions throughout Los Angeles. Judy is a co-author of a book and CD package entitled Sound Healing, Easing Chronic Pain. Welcome, Judy.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm so honored to have you here on my first year anniversary. And everyone, the reason why I'm so excited is Judy is my former teacher and now colleague. I am a graduate of the Clearsight Clairvoyant program and feel very strongly that was one of those happy accidents and one of the best things that I've ever done for myself. So I want Judy to tell everyone all about it, and hopefully we'll all get you signed up after the show. So Judy, let's start off. Tell us about the Clearsight Clairvoyant program.
Well, our Clearsight Clairvoyant program is a very exciting program. We have arranged it to be a short module of 3 months that teaches you foundational skills in meditation, in clearing your energy, which increases your natural intuition, and other skills to work through some of those more emotional issues that keep us sort of stuck and keep us from seeing more truth about our life and ourselves. Then we have a second module that goes into more intense and in-depth spiritual skills, such as accessing ancient and universal wisdom from the Akashic records, psychic self-defense, which you really want to have some skills in when you start being a professional intuitive reader, and other skills like that that you really want to have in your toolbox as you work with people who have more complex issues in their life, like illnesses or divorces. you really need some advanced skills for that kind of intuitive work. So our program wants to give you a well-roundedness so you have basic foundational skills plus advanced skills. And that's our Clearsight Clairvoyant program.
So Judy, can you maybe give some concrete examples of why someone would want to do the clairvoyant program? Now, for instance, I'm not a psychic. I don't make my living being an intuitive reader or doing energy medicine, but it was a great tool for self-awareness. When I graduated from the program, about a week afterwards, I realized, oh my gosh, I understand why I've been in this victim mentality my entire life. And so was able to open up, just totally switch my way of thinking. And also, we might want to talk about, you always talk about the onions, like peeling off the layers. And as we get to what I would call our real selves. So if someone's interested, maybe not in being an intuitive, can you give us some examples of why they might want to do the program?
Definitely. Many people know what's going on with them, but they find difficulty changing their patterns in life. So let's say you want to switch some ways that you attract love, or you want to stick with a diet, or you want to not be so angry. All those personal reasons why we want to change. The Clearsight skills help you peel back all of these patterns so that you can truly start to change those deeper behavior patterns in your life and heal the things that are broken in your life. That's what these skills do for you. So we talk about the program being, yes, a program to increase your intuition, to learn to read other people, but really we talk about this program as being about your relationship with yourself and helping you put that back together.
And so I believe you also have classes that are just not a part of the whole Clearsight program, but for instance, on abundance or finding love. Do you have smaller classes like that just concentrate on one topic?
Yes, we looked at the needs of people, and not everybody can commit to a 6-month program. So we wanted to offer weekly meditations. We wanted to offer short, specific topic courses for personal development. And we found that to be incredibly helpful for people, and also a nice way to start to get used to using the skills, feeling really comfortable with them, and feeling like, yeah, I've come home. I found my home with this type of practice. I'm ready for a deeper level. Sometimes it takes getting into it in some of these other courses to get comfortable with it. So not only do you have the benefit of these really neat skills that are very specialized in a short evening course or a short one weekend course, but you have the ability to make sure that this feels comfortable for you and that this works for you. Because as we know, there are many paths, and not every path is the right path for you. So it takes sometimes some time to find that, yeah, this is a path that works for me.
Well, that's why we have Reawaken Your Brilliance. We present all the different paths, as many paths as possible. And my hope is that people will find one that speaks to their heart and then get off the couch and go for it, do it, and change their lives. Now, I want to remind everyone, if you have a question for Judy, I know she'd be more than happy to answer it. You can chat it, and I will ask her, or you can call us at 919-518-9773. I know we have listeners all over the world. You can Skype in and save a dime at Computers 2K Voice. So if you have a question, don't hesitate to ask it.
Now, so Julie, you should make a bumper sticker that says, "Get off the couch."
I like that. I might do that. And purple and leopard print, my favorite thing. So it'd have to be something fun.
I would definitely buy one.
Okay, all right. I'm going to sign you up. Now I have a question. Can you talk about, because I found, well, first I'd like you to talk about meditation, because I would say just about every guest we've had on talks about having a personal meditation practice. And again, there are many different types of meditation, but can you talk about that and why you teach that and how it's helpful to people?
Meditation is the foundational skill that I have seen for personal and spiritual development. Without meditation, you can grow, but you're going to grow a lot quicker through meditation. Now, the Clearsight philosophy is that we need some way of clearing our energy of emotions, of thoughts, of judgments, opinions, criticisms, old beliefs that don't work for us anymore. We need a way to clear that. Because what happens is that when you clear that out of your space, you hear your higher wisdom. It just starts speaking to you and you can hear it. You can't hear it when you're all full of that stuff. So meditation is the key foundational skill to clear your energy field and hear your intuition.
Now, Judy, I hear a lot of times people will say, well, you know what? I'm not sure if it's my intuition. And is it my intuition or is it my analytical mind getting in the way? And so will meditation help kind of clear the junk that would allow you to know that it's your higher self?
It will absolutely clear the junk and allow you to know it's your higher self. And the difference is meditation actually calms your brainwave patterns out of that logical thinking beta brainwave thing into that really calm alpha. And that is a knowingness, not a thinkingness. And that's how you know it's not your mind, it's your intuition. There's a real difference in feeling there, in the quality of the information and how it just drops in without any effort and with a certainty that just says, I don't know how I know. I just know that that's right for me. That's what I'm talking about.
That reminds me, I was talking last week, we had a guest on, and I was telling him I was in Los Angeles, and I was driving. I had a job, but I hated it. I was driving to another job interview, and this was way before Clearsight. And I heard, because I'm clairaudient, so I tend to hear things or feel things, and I heard, get over now. And it was so strong, I just moved over, didn't question it, and the car behind me smashed into the car in front of me. Now, at that time, I would have just had a nervous meltdown at having to deal with a car accident. So is that a good description of what you're talking about? It's just there, you know it's right, and you trust it.
Exactly. And you see the benefit of that. You experienced it firsthand in a really big way. Those kinds of things start happening a lot, not necessarily as traumatic like a potential car accident, but wonderful things too. Like go there and you just happen to meet the right person who gives you the right job. So this starts happening quite more frequently once you get clear and connected intuitively.
Okay, Judy, we've got a couple questions for you on chat, so I want to get to them. Peaches would like to know, do you read people's minds?
That's a wonderful question. Only if you have something that you want to broadcast. So if you don't want anyone to know what you're thinking, energetically, you tend to put up a little sort of a wall that the clairvoyant then says, well, that's hands off. I'm not supposed to look there and I'm not supposed to get that information, so I won't. If you are broadcasting it because it's something that you really want to say to yourself, then then the intuitive or the clairvoyant picks up on it. And we don't just walk around telling people, yeah, you're thinking this and that. We only do that if you come to us for a reading, and then we will tell you. But only that which your own spiritual self knows that you want to hear. Now, I hope that answered the question.
I think, and if Peaches, if that wasn't answered, just follow up and we'll be sure to ask it. Now, Warrior Spirit would like to know, can I pick the winning lottery if I go to school at Clearsight?
And the answer to that is unfortunately no, because of course I know with all that money you would do such great work in the world. But winning the lottery is a karmic issue. It changes your life in such a big karmic way that it needs to be something that is set up on a grander level than the basic, intuitive connection. So no, you would not pick the lottery numbers. But if it is your karma to have that kind of money and do what you're going to do with it, then it certainly can be a step in that direction if it is in your karma.
Okay, great. Now we have a question from Gentle Lover. Do you take all students or is there an interview or application process?
We have an interview process because we want to make sure that these skills are in harmony with your spiritual path and that you are ready to really own your relationship with your own spiritual higher self. And to make sure that you're going to be in harmony with how we teach, because there's many different kinds of learners. This does require some attention, and people who have had some difficulty sitting still and meditating with imagery, they need action-oriented meditation where they're running, 5 miles, that's their meditation, then this wouldn't be the type of course that would be in harmony with your style of learning. So those are the reasons why we do interview you, to make sure it's all going to be in harmony and work well.
All right, excellent. We've got another question from Hippie Bob. I've done a lot of LSD and had psychic experiences. Can they help me? Can LSD help me be more psychic?
That's a fascinating question, because LSD and those kinds of natural thing, or that one's not natural, but those kinds of experiences do open up the third eye and the psychic part of our brain. It's really quite interesting, and you can have some pretty amazing spiritual experiences on those kinds of drugs. However, you don't need them to have those amazing kinds of experiences. And what happens with drug use is that you end up leaving your body. You get information that could be really amazing spiritual information, but it's not real practical or grounded to the earth dimension or the practical dimension that we live in everyday life. So then you come back into your body, your heart chakra's open, your third eye's open, and you're getting, so inspired, but you can't bring that information into your physical body and apply it in a practical way in daily life. So in a way, it ends up frustrating you about being here. Like it's not, the spiritual information's not working here. So actually, it ends up working against you after a while. What you'll find is that when you start to access that level of information from in your body without drugs, through meditation and intuitive skills, you're going to get information you can actually use in a body on the earth dimension in a practical way. And therefore, you won't get frustrated and want to just leave. You want to be here and create. So that's why we actually don't do these kinds of drugs through our program, and would say, great for the experiences that you've had, but now let's learn to do it without the drugs. That's our philosophy.
Fantastic. We've got another question on chat, and I want to remind everyone, you can chat, call in at 919-518-9773 or Skype in Computers 2K Voice. Peace and Zen says you're very pretty. She's married to Peace and Zen, so I just have to let you know that. But they would like to know, what did you say about the Akashic Records? What is that? They'd like to know the Akashic Records.
Everything that occurs on our earth also occurs not only on physical level, but in an energy level. The energy vibration of it exists, and it's stored in the aura or the energy field around the earth. Everything that's occurred since the beginning of our planet, not just since the beginning of humankind. Well, as an intuitive, sometimes it's really helpful to go and get information about our planet or the people or the occurrences and be able to apply that information. Now, on a personal level to you, all of the experiences that you have had in a past life are stored in your Akashic record. Think of it as a locker with maybe like a closet, and hanging in the closet on hangers are all your past lives and all of the wisdom that you've acquired from those experiences. Well, when you come into this lifetime, you don't pack all that wisdom into your body, your chakras, your aura. You leave some of it up in your Akashic locker. But let's say you come across a life experience where you need some of that wisdom. An intuitive who's trained can go up to the locker, get a copy of that information and bring it down and put it into your conscious awareness. And that way you have access to something that you need that you forgot to pack when you came into this lifetime. The other benefit of the Akashic Records is it holds blueprints of chakras. So if you get in a car accident and one of your chakras kind of gets blown out of proportion, an intuitive can go up and get the blueprint of that chakra, bring it in, and it will rebalance the chakra so you can heal faster. So there are many wonderful benefits to being able to access the wisdom in the Akashic Records.
Fantastic. And Judy, can you just give us a quick definition of chakra? Because some people might not be familiar with that. You've talked about the heart chakra, the third eye. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. We have 7 major energy centers in our body that correspond to major organs or major areas of our body, from our spine to the top of our head. We have a lot of other chakras, but we have 7 major ones that govern how we relate with the world. So, for example, the heart chakra in the area of the chest would be about love and relating with people and events in the world, whereas the throat chakra would be about how we communicate. So each chakra just governs different aspects of who we are. They are interdimensional portals. They store energy, wisdom, past life information, and when they're balanced and clean, we can then interact with the world in a balanced and clean way.
Fantastic. One of the best descriptions I've heard of chakras. So I will be stealing that, but credit it to you.
Thank you.
You're popular tonight on chat. Sally Mae would like to know, what's the difference between Clearsight and Berkeley? I hear Berkeley is big. Is Clearsight a big school?
Clearsight is a spinoff of the Berkeley Psychic Institute. Our director was trained originally at Berkeley Psychic Institute, and that's where I actually started my training too, in my early 20s. And then our director spun off and created her own school, which, because of where I lived, it was close by, so that's where I went, and I loved it. So I stayed, and as you can hear, I still teach there. The difference is that our focus is a little bit more on total ownership of your energy. Berkeley Psychic Institute, they have a broader focus in some ways, dealing a little bit more sometimes with beings out of body. We're a little bit less focused on that. So I would say that's one of the main differences. Not to say one is better than the other. We're just a little bit different in that respect. But many of the skills can be quite similar because they work.
Excellent. And we have another question, but we have a hello from a Carol Benko. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. She said, wants to tell you hello. She's a Clearsight graduate. And she writes, Clearsight helps you with challenges we all have in our lives. So Carol, if you want to call or Skype in, I'd love to hear from another Clearsight graduate because you can give us a different perspective than I can. So if you want to do that, 919-518-9773 or Skype at Computers Take 2K Voice or chat, and I'll be happy to share what you'd like to say on chat. We now have a question from Warrior Spirit. Can Judy tell me when and if I will find true love in this lifetime?
Wonderful question that many, many people have. And I just also want to say hello back to wonderful Carol. Thank you for Skyping in. But back to our question. Many people ask this, when will I meet my mate? And the Clearsight perspective is it's not about when, it's about how do I create that in my life? What do I need to shift within me in order to attract that kind of love to me? So the work that we would do with you on that level would be to look at helping you release past relationship issues, past karmic issues in love and relationships, clean up your ability to trust yourself, love yourself, trust others, love others, and then define for yourself on a really deep spiritual level, what is it that you do want? Because when we really look at it on an intuitive level, sometimes people still want Mr. or Mrs. Wrong, and we need to clean that up before you can attract in Mr. or Mrs. Right.
Fantastic. Good advice. I'm listening to that. I'm close, though. I can feel it.
Yeah.
We've got another great question from you from Peaches. Do aliens play a role in our lives today?
Another fascinating question. These are really, really great spiritual questions that we're getting today. In terms of aliens, we pretty much know that they exist and, they're out there. And that there is some interplay or interconnection with humans. So basically, there are the same gamut of aliens from really healing, loving, wonderful souls to really evil, awful, destructive, harmful souls as there are humans. There are really loving, healing, wonderful humans, and there are really destructive humans, and there's everything in between. Same thing with aliens. So it's how you choose to interact with them. If you wish to be influenced, then you will be. They'll visit. because they'll see that you're open to it, and they'll visit, whether it's in dream time, whether it's in, when you're out in nature, whatever it is. But if you own yourself and you want to dialogue only with the good ones, then through meditation skills, you can learn how to do that, and then get healing tools and all kinds of really neat stuff. So that's going to be something that will be up to you. And through our kind of program, we really stress your relationship with your higher self and directly with the higher power. And then secondarily, with any other kind of being, whether it be a spirit guide or a healing guide, or an alien, that's a secondary relationship that will only be like little frosting on top of the cake, so to speak, instead of the cake. That's our philosophy.
Fantastic. Now, Warrior Spirit has a follow-up. They were the one that asked about love in this lifetime, and they said, did you just give me a reading? Which I would say no. I think you just talked broadly for those of us looking for love. And then Warrior Spirit asks, can I have a reading?
Yes, anybody can set up an appointment for a reading. You have to pay our fee. There's a fee for it, but sure, we do them by Skype. We do them by phone. And then when you're in the Los Angeles area, we do them in person. And we also do student readings through the Clairvoyant program, and those are free. And we can also do those by Skype, but we'd need to set those up by appointment.
That actually, I want to bring up something, Judy. And since I think this is pretty standard and doesn't give any Clearsight secret away, one thing that Clearsight taught me and all graduates is before giving a reading, we say, I think you'd benefit from. We've also say, this is what I'm getting, but trust your own self. If it doesn't feel right to you, then to ignore it. And I say this because my mother got a reading once and the psychic told her she was going to die. Now, that was a very stressful thing for her. And I said, I think what they were trying to say, and obviously didn't do it well, was there was a death of who you are as a person and kind of transforming your life, but it just freaked her out. So can you talk a little bit about that and maybe give suggestions? I mean, I think it's so important. I think it's important in general to be ethical, but especially something like this, if people come to you and they're stressed and have real problems, you could negatively influence them. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Definitely. First of all, there are many intuitive readers out there that have absolutely no training. They have a wide open third eye, but they don't necessarily read from a neutral perspective or understand the higher symbolic levels of what they're seeing. And it sounds like, your mom had an experience like that. And that can be quite terrifying to hear these kinds of things. Our perspective is that the purpose of a reading, the true purpose, is to put you back in touch with your own higher self so that you don't need to get a reading, so that you can really get back on track and start listening to yourself, because we're often not telling you something new. We're often telling you something that your higher self has been trying to tell you for a while. We're just the one to remind you about it. Our view is that the future is written in pencil, not in stone. So as we read, we look at a potential flow of energy. We look at where you're stuck, what you could shift to help you move forward and get clarity, the potential flow, but you have a lot of free will to shift it. So what we're going to say in a reading as our training moves forth is, yes, it looks like you might benefit from releasing this emotion. When I put this job in your energy field, it looks like you're in harmony because I see this, 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 and this. But it's up to you whether you take that job or not. It's up to you what you choose. So we read in a way that empowers you to take information, sit with it, and then make your decisions. And we're not going to tell you what to do with your life because we believe that that's up to you.
And I think that that's so important. And again, that's my whole goal of the show, to empower people, to have them know you have everything you need inside and just finding whatever tools fit to help you figure that out. Now, we have several more questions for you on chat, and I want to get to this one. I'm going to skip because Gentle Lover wanted to know, what is your higher self? Because we just talked about that.
Your higher self is an eternal part of you that travels lifetime to lifetime gathering wisdom. It goes into a body and experiences life through a body, but it's bigger than the human body. So it dwells around you and above you. It's part of your aura. part of your chakra system. It's right above you, but it can also travel. So when you sleep at night, if you go off and dream, it may travel a little bit out into the astral dimension, but come back. And if you remember your dreams, then your higher spiritual self brought those memories back into your conscious awareness. Now, this part of you never dies. So when people who've had near-death experiences talk about leaving their body, floating above their body, that's their higher self. Going through the tunnel of light and then coming back, that's their higher self. And it works best when it dwells right above the top of your head. And that is one thing that we teach you to work with in meditation so that you can start to cultivate this relationship with this eternal part of who you are that's very, very wise.
Well, I have to tell you, my higher self looks awesome. She's got the long flowing hair that always looks great, doesn't have to worry about humidity, and she dresses in a goddess gown. So no hair extensions too. It's all natural. It's all good. We've got another question for you. Peaches would like to know, have you ever seen an alien?
Actually, I have. And it wasn't literally, I didn't see the, big head with the big eyes, but it was psychically. And I actually went to a very interesting healing night where the healers were channeling alien, lovely, lovely alien energy. Well, I wanted to see what the aliens looked like and what planet they came from and all this stuff. So I closed my eyes and I started meditating and looking with my third eye. And I said to the healers telepathically, hey, can you show me what you really look like? The alien being. And on my little vision screen, I saw the picture of this big, huge turtle. I mean, big, like 12 feet big, with turtle, legs and standing upright. And I said, well, that's very interesting. They said, yes, on our planet, we live in water, and this is what our bodies look like. And we move through the water and we communicate telepathically. And our whole goal is to spread love throughout the universe. And I went, oh, that's really sweet. So, yes, I saw an alien with my third eye.
Excellent. I'd never heard that story. I like that. Now, Hippie Bob wants to know, can graduates do readings when they graduate? Is there a guarantee I will be psychic when I graduate?
I can't guarantee anything ever. That's life, right? However, I've taught these skills for almost 2 decades. And in those 2 decades, there's only been a very small handful of people who couldn't open the third eye because of emotional blockages and fear. And there's no judgment there. We're all on our own time. We're all going to evolve whenever we're ready. But it's only been less than 5 people in over almost 2 decades that have not been able to read after taking our course. So we've had hundreds go through our course. I can't guarantee, but I can certainly say based on past history, you got a really good program here.
The odds are great.
Yes.
Okay, Sally Mae wants to know, are any of your graduates famous, like on TV or radio? Well, I'm a graduate. I think she probably means like famous psychics on TV or radio. So good question. I don't know about that.
Not that I know of, because we don't tend to be showy, flashy, right? And, the work that Julie's doing is just this immense spreading of the light throughout the world in this really beautiful way. We have another graduate who has done a similar thing with a internet radio show. We have a woman who was once a Miss Universe contestant, and she's off doing public speaking all over the United States and has written a beautiful book. And so our graduates do wonderful things. May not be on, Time Warner, cable, whatever, but they're doing wonderful things, yes.
Excellent. Peace and Zen would like to know, do you teach remote viewing at Clearsight? And could you define remote viewing, Judy? Because I don't know if everyone knows what that is.
Okay. Well, remote viewing is a clairvoyant or intuitive system that was developed by the U.S. government as a spy tool. And it can be quite effective. It uses probably very similar skills to all of these types of spiritual schools. It's just another way of saying that you're looking at things with your third eye. but the government didn't want to use the word psychic, clairvoyant, intuitive. You know, they wanted to use government words, so they came up with this very clinical sort of term, remote viewing. But basically, it's the same thing. It's looking at things with your third eye. I do see that a Clearsight program and similar programs go way beyond just looking at things with the third eye. They don't teach you going up to the Akashic Records and psychic self-defense, and they don't do that. So it's just looking at things with the third eye. So it's a limited application.
Okay. Hippie Bob wants to know, can people use these skills for evil? Good question.
That is a good question. And the answer is actually yes, you can. However, in our program, you wouldn't stick around long enough to learn enough to use it for evil, because our program is so filled with the light that if that was your intent, you'd feel so uncomfortable, and the teacher would see it way before you would learn enough to use these skills for evil. You'd be out the door. So you'd have to learn them somewhere else if that's your intention, which I know it's not your intention.
Fantastic. So can you talk a little bit, I don't want to give away any secrets that you teach, but about grounding and centering, you know, whatever you're comfortable teaching with. I know that those are skills that you help, and what I would call energy-based skills, perhaps, if that's the right term, that are really great. So can you tell us about those?
Yes. My favorite analogy is Star Wars, when, you know, Luke used the Force and Luke takes his hand and he sends energy and then people seem to do what he wants, right? Well, the basis of everything in terms of grounding and centering is that energy is real. I can direct a thought to someone I'm real connected with and they'll get that thought and they'll call me on the phone. Or I can send love to an animal that's wounded and that animal will lie still and let me pick it up and help it. Because energy is real. And you've had those experiences where you've known where someone's calling and you know, you pick up the phone and yep, that's them. That energy came to you, right? It's real. So what we do in our meditation work is we use our own energy and we direct it. Imagery, direction. So I'm imaging that I'm doing it, but as I image I'm doing it, I'm actually doing it. So what we do is we connect our body into the earth, to the very center of the earth, to give us the greatest amount of strength and support. And you're going to see when you learn that skill, you do feel supported. You feel like, wow, I have the whole earth supporting what I do in life. This is really neat. I feel confident. I feel strong. So it's real and it works. Now, a lot of times in terms of where we center our awareness, our focus, our consciousness, we're just flying around. We're on our computer. We're thinking about work. We're not centered here. So we learn to center ourselves in the center of the head, which is right behind the third eye. And it's a very clear, intuitive, non-judgmental place to look at the world. And those two skills will change your life. You know, I was this weepy little, you know, bleeding heart before I came to Clearsight, was giving my energy away to everybody, and I wasn't getting anything in return. I grounded, I centered, and all of a sudden I went, oh, I can focus all this energy and create something even greater here with balance and harmony, where there's give and take, and everybody benefits. So these skills can change your life, grounding and centering being the foundational ones that do so.
Yeah, I would have to say I get a visual when I'm ungrounded, and I've learned that to notice that and recognize it and what happens when I'm not ungrounded. I was out a couple weeks ago and someone said something that normally I would have laughed at about myself, but I wasn't grounded, and I just was like, stood up, said I need a moment, and was almost in tears and walked away. And then I came back and I said, that's what being ungrounded is. I just did that to give you an example, and I'm totally joking, I didn't, but it's very useful skill to have. And we've got another question for you, and I want to remind everyone, you can chat a question or call 919-518-9773 or Skype in at Computers 2K Voice. Warrior Spirit would like to know, what should the inside of my head look like?
Another beautiful question. We want to create the inside of your head as a sacred meditation space, uncluttered, open, so that your higher spiritual self can drop in visions, images, information, wisdom, guidance. So I have a favorite place that I love to meditate physically. I love the room, I love the wood, I love everything about it. So I image myself sitting in the center of my head, in the center of that room. And it's just beautiful and it's big and open and there's nothing in there except me. You may love a beautiful garden. You can create the center of your head as a beautiful garden or a big clear bubble, whatever feels sacred and open to you. Because you don't want a lot of clutter in there. You want openness for the higher self to bring wisdom in. So you get to take a look and create it the way you want it. And if you find a lot of clutter, you just pull it right out, drop it to the center of the earth, let it neutralize, and you make it look the way you want it to look. Energy shifts super easily, and it's under your control. So you can shift it to what you want it to be.
And I want to read a comment from Carol Benko, Judy, because she talks about this. Learning to center myself daily, even several times when necessary, has helped me when I drive all over. Since 2012, I have not been in a car accident or even a small fender bender. Prior to this, every couple of years, something would always happen. So again, Carol's a Clearsight graduate. So we're having, if you're a Clearsight graduate, feel free to chat in like Carol or call us, because I want to hear other amazing experiences from Clearsight graduates. Now, Peaches says, what can I do to attract love in my life? And I'm not sure if Peaches is asking for a reading because you've kind of touched on that. So Peaches, we might need some clarification on that, because we're not going to do readings tonight. We're just going to talk about the Clearsight program, and Judy's kind of speaking in general terms. So our next question from Warrior Spirit is, can you do an exercise with us to discover the inside of our heads?
Would that be okay with you, Julie?
Absolutely. I'd love it.
Okay, so basically it's really easy. You would just need to sit comfortably in a chair with your feet on the ground because it keeps you grounded, and close your eyes. Then you would draw an imaginary line from the top of your right ear to the top of your left ear, right through the center of your head. You would draw another line from the front of your forehead to the back of your head, right through the center of your head. Where those two lines intersect is the center of your head. And you would create a nice, comfortable chair or pillow right on that spot. And then you would image yourself about 2 inches high, sitting down in it. Then you would just turn on the lights and look around. And you might see piles of papers, and you might see faces of friends and co-workers floating around in there. Whatever you see, it's clutter. Because ideally, it should just be you, sitting in your chair or on your pillow, right on that little center of the head. So anything that's in there, you can image yourself pulling out of the front of your forehead and just dropping it down to a big ball in the center of the earth that neutralizes into usable light. Or you can pull it out of the center of your head, put it in a golden balloon in front of you, and let the balloon float up to the edge of the Earth's atmosphere and pop back into usable energy.
Fantabulous. Was that
There's one last step. Once you clean the center of your head, you just want to fill it with golden light. And the easiest way is to image a golden sun above your head and sink it right down into the center of the head with its warm golden light. And it just fills the space around you, leaving you feeling peaceful.
Fantastic. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. And we have another comment from Carol, which leads into a question that I have. And Carol writes, the skills you learn will apply to every part of your life. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you'll grow. So I wanted you to talk about, can you tell us what the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies are? What does that mean?
There are aspects of us that react with the world and ourselves in different ways. Our body has a lot of wisdom. So inside your body, you have a physical energy body that processes what the body experiences. So let's say the body goes into fear. Let's say, like I've seen people afraid of heights. Their physical energy body inside their inside their physical body, it's an energy body that holds physical memories, either from this life or past life. Maybe they fell off a cliff in a past life, so they're afraid of heights. And the energy body that processes physical experience remembers that. In order for them to heal that, they would need to release that past life trauma. Otherwise, they'll always be afraid of heights. So that's the physical body. Then you have the emotional body that is also an energy body inside the physical body. It governs how you deal with emotions and emotional experiences such as getting a promotion, having a child, having your heart broken. It remembers those feelings and it stores those memories. So again, if you wanted to heal heartbreak, you would want to pull it out of your emotional body. There's a mental energy body inside the physical body that deals with your thought processes, your mind obsessions, your mind patterns, and all those things that we seek to change about how we think. Those memories are held in the mental body. We would need to clean those out of the mental body if we want to heal those patterns or those thought processes. And then you have a spiritual energy body inside the physical body that holds the memories of spiritual experiences. I remember meeting a really old Native American Indian chief who looked into my very soul. My spiritual energy body inside me will never forget that. But if I'd had a traumatic experience spiritually, I would want to clean that trauma out of that spiritual body so that I'm not held back by the trauma. So that's a little brief explanation of physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual energy bodies that we hold within us.
Fantastic. And people just have to sign up for the program if they want to learn more details. It's that simple. And we have a comment question from Warrior Spirit. I think I love your guest. And again, she's married. Do past lives influence our current lives? Is it possible I was married to the guest in a past life? What say you, Judy?
It's absolutely positive that we are influenced by our past lives. No doubt about it. Things that have happened to you that have a high impact, you pack those in your suitcase, when you come into this life. And yes, it does affect you. But here's the thing. For our questioner, yes, we may have known each other in a past life and this is just a reconnection. Or it may be that there's this archetypal spiritual yes for you that says, it's not Judy, it's the information I'm connecting with that resonates with me and says yes.
And Judy, I want you to tell everyone, again, I don't think this is something that they need to sign up for the program. What's a growth period? Because I know a lot of us, we all go through these growth periods, and maybe hearing Clearsight's definition might help people. So can you tell us about that?
Yes. We all go through times of change, and humans often need a little time to get ready for that change. So we think about it, and we don't do it yet, but we're thinking about it, whether it's a conscious thought or a subconscious thought. Okay? And that might last for years. During that process, you're pushing out all the reasons why you're not changing. All the fears, all the worry, all the past time or past life experiences where that didn't go well when you changed. You're pushing those out, but you haven't quite released them. Well, as you've pushed them out, but you're still carrying them, it's like walking around in a fog because you haven't released those reasons why you haven't changed. They're still there, but now you know they're there and you feel ucky, right? That's a growth period. And what happens is you finally get to the point where you say, yep, I am ready to release. And you release it, and in comes this wonderful next stage of your life. So you have to recognize when you're in a growth period by saying, yeah, I'm ready to change almost. And I still got all my junk and it doesn't feel so good and I'm kind of foggy. But I know I'm going to release it. And when I do, soon, I'm going to feel really good. That's a growth period.
Okay, and my other favorite saying from Clearsight is, you spot it, you got it. So tell us about that, because I think that's said in many different ways, but very important for us to grow.
Whenever we see anything in anyone else, there's a little seed of it within us, whether it's something from past life that we don't even express anymore. Well, it's still in us. So the only reason that you've been able to recognize anything in anybody else is because you either did it yourself in either this life or past, or you had an experience with it in this life or past. So recognize that you're not only reading them or seeing it in them, you are seeing it in you. So my favorite other phrase is, when you've got one finger pointing away, like you, there's three fingers pointing back at you. And so clean you out so you can get neutral about that which you see in others and accept them for who they are. And that's the benefit of you spot it, you got it, clean it out of you.
Okay, we've got another question from Gentle Lover. Do you look at people's souls like the Indian man did with you? Can you learn that at Clearsight? Yes.
It takes development of your intuitive reading skills to be able to look that deeply, because the soul is a very, really treasured, cherished part of everyone. And it's not on the surface. We protect it. So it does take a little bit of skill to learn how to really look into the soul. But yes, that is something that you learn to do at Clearsight.
And can you talk about one of the other skills that we learn at Clearsight is cleaning your aura? So why is that important? Why do we want to clean our aura?
Our aura is our energy field around our physical body, and it is an extension of our working energy. So everything that we're working on creating in our personal relationships, in our relationship with ourselves, in our work in the world, everything we create, we open up energy in our aura and operate off of it to create that thing or that event or that circumstance. So having a mucky aura that's filled with overloaded emotions and other people's criticisms and past lives that were traumatic, well, then we're working through all this old junk. It's like using rusty steel to build a new car. You don't want to do that. So what we want to do is through meditation, clean all this stuff out of our aura, store our wise memories where they're accessible, bring in brand new energy, and create from that.
Fantastic. Now, you had mentioned, maybe you can just talk about this a little more. It's one of the modules that you learn about, but I know people have asked me and on other shows, you can teach people how to protect themselves from negative psychic energy. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. When someone throws love at you, it feels really nice, right? But when someone throws anger at you, it doesn't feel so nice. So wouldn't it be great to have some energy skills where that energy would bounce off of you and not get absorbed into you and affect you? Now, other than taking a clairvoyant class, our listeners can actually use a little shield, just like the knight uses with a sword and shield. You can image that you have an energy shield up in front of your aura. When someone intense is throwing anger or resentment at you, and just image that it's hitting the shield and bouncing off. But when you don't want a shield up, just make sure you take that shield away. Because with your best friend, you don't want a shield up. So you use that shield as needed. Your higher spiritual self will tuck the shield back in your aura and bring it forth as you call it to do so. So you can be in charge of your own shield. And that's just an easy way for listeners to have a skill they can use right now.
Thank you for sharing that. And I have to say, it truly does work. When I was in the program, I had a boss that drove me nuts. He was hypercritical. I would turn in my writing and, red marks everywhere. And I started using the shield, and I'd walk in his office. I made it huge. The shield was just all over. But you know what? his criticisms just bounce right off. They're like, okay, it's all good. And in the past, I would have been angry or close to tears. And it really does help you get neutral about that. And you could actually say, okay, this is what I do need to hear. This is a constructive criticism, but all his crap that he's throwing on me, I don't need, that's about him. That has nothing to do with me. So thank you for sharing that. I think that is a great little easy thing that I hope all of our listeners will do. Now we've got another question from Sally Mae. Can you make good money doing psychic readings? It seems like everyone is a psychic these days. I tried to take a mediumship class and it was filled up. Clearsight should be doing great now. I'm not sure if I understand that. So can you comment about making a living as a psychic?
Yes, you can make good money. Definitely. It takes time, though, as I have found over the years, to build up your clientele. I do recommend also being an energy healer, because when you read people, there are going to be things that you're going to want to heal if they are welcoming that. So you want to also have that in your toolkit so you can shift energy too. And between those two modalities, yes, I have known people that have made a living as a reader and a healer. I like to encourage people who want to do that to add other skills to their toolkit, because you want to be able to offer a variety of wonderful healing things, whether it's acupressure, whether it's acupuncture, whether it's herbs or homeopathy. You would want a well-rounded practice.
All right, fantastic.
To create a way to do this as a living.
Excellent. Now, there are two questions I have to ask all guests, Judy. The first one is, someone out there might be in a lot of pain. They might be struggling. I've been there myself. What advice would you have for them?
That is definitely part of life, and it's not the easy. My best recommendation, as people do come to me and with this going on in their life. Number one, you're not an island. You do not need to do this by yourself. There are healers, there are counselors, there are people who have wonderful skills that can help you. So seek out help that feels in harmony with your heart and with your soul. Don't just suffer. Secondly, if it is a really complex issue, open up to help on many different levels. So you got to open up your mind, have an open mind as to what may be of help to you, and then go seek it out. So that's my first thing. The second thing is really seek out the support of your friends, because that love and that encouragement and support, that will really help you over this rough patch. Those are my two pieces of advice when you find yourself in that kind of situation. And we've all been there.
Absolutely. We've all been there. Wonderful advice. Now, the other thing, I'm going to make the bumper sticker, get off the couch. So that's what this show is about too. I want people to change their lives. I don't want them sleepwalking through life. So what one thing, you've given us a lot of great information, someone can do tonight, tomorrow morning, before they go to bed. What one thing can they do to reawaken their brilliance?
I actually have two things, so I hope that's okay.
That's absolutely.
The first is exercise. The right exercise for you that your body feels good with and puts you in harmony and feeling alive, exercise. Because that's a natural way to get back in your body and get clear. People say, I got so much insight after I exercised. I just got my answers. So that's my first advice. And my second is carving out some quiet time every day where you can calm the brain. Either it's a cup of tea, or it's a walk, or it's just sitting there with your eyes closed and allowing yourself to let thoughts go, or listening to a calming piece of music. Whatever it is, it can only be 10 or 15 minutes, but that changes you. That clears you and allows you to really get in touch with your higher intuition. With those two things, you've got something really good going now.
Wonderful. We have a last comment from Carol saying, thank you for being such a great teacher and a wonderful friend. And I would ditto that. You are the best teacher, I have no doubt, in the entire world. You're ethical. you're full of love. Well, people need to know this. So can you tell us, one, the Clearsight website, so if people want to check out the program, and two, because you've done the sound healing to help with chronic pain, if you have a website or how people can get that. So tell us about that.
Okay. Our Clearsight website is www.clearsightaura.com. And for Sound Healing Ease Chronic Pain, you can order that on Amazon.com. And it comes with a CD that has a composer's music for easing pain, and then I have a guided imagery for easing pain. So it's not only a book, but it's also got an audio CD.
Fantastic. And I don't know if you know this, Judy, I just went on Sunday. Have you heard of the Integratron in Landers, California? I went there. I spent 10 years out here and never knew about it. Someone back east was like, you got to check this out. So I did that on Sunday, and just tell everyone, one, it's amazing, but this CD that Judy's created can definitely help if you have the music and the guided imagery. It's just an amazing experience. And so, Judy, I want to thank you for being on the show. It was an honor and a privilege to interview you. I am a proud graduate of the Clearsight program, and I hope many more people do that. And it was a pleasure to be your student. You, again, are the best.
Thank you. And I want to thank you also for being who you are. You're shining light into the world. And I appreciate being your guest on this wonderful occasion, this annual
celebration. We'll have you back again.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you here next week. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye now.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays 9 a.m. to noon. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays 11 a.m. till noon. The Scope of Things with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 7 to 8 p.m. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 8 to 9 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Judy Seibert, Wednesdays 8 to 9 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com.